Well, it's day 3 of Eagles training camp, and those Georgia players continue to be very, very impressive, including today, a sack of Jalen Hurts from Nolan Smith, Jordan Davis getting a ton of rave reviews from Sean Desai, and much, much more. Also, they restructured Derek Barnett's contract, freeing up some money. Could they be trying to make a move? I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show on a Friday. It is the third official practice for the Philadelphia Eagles. This one open to the public today, and we have all the latest tweets from beat writers who are there giving you an update on what went down during about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes in a very, very hot NovaCare Complex. I'm shocked they didn't move this one indoors. They sweated a lot today, but boy, they look pretty darn good doing it. First thing we're going to do, though, is Sean Desai. He met with the media pre-practice. First time we've heard from him starting off a training camp, and he raved about one player in particular. We keep hearing this name. It's Jordan Davis. Take a listen.
It's day 2 of training camp. I love the shape that he's coming in. I love the mentality that he's been playing with. I love what Coach Rocker's done with him to kind of keep him motivated, keep him going. And it's early. We want to see that day in and day out. You know, we're a long ways away from playing a regular season game right now. And so it's about focusing on that process and being mentally tough enough to go through that process and play at the same level every day in this heat, you know, in these conditions. And those things are real. That's really what we want to see of everybody, including.
Now, he also emphasized they want to be physical on defense. See, John Clark saying here, we want to play a physical brand of defense. And he had talked about having that identity starting from day one and hopefully being a little bit different than what Jonathan Gannon had in Philadelphia, where they were a bend but don't break, although they broke a lot last year, sort of defensive style. I like what I hear from Sean Desai so far. He's just so new, so green. We don't know enough yet. Let's see what that defense does in training camp a little bit later on when the pads come on, and preseason as well. And of course, week 1 against the New England Patriots. Now, a couple of updates from practice today. First of which, Hassan Reddick did not practice again today, still dealing with some groin soreness. Not a surprise, not a worry. No one's even concerned about this in the slightest, but he was not on the football field yet. Maybe by the weekend's practice, something on like a Sunday or maybe Monday of next week, that's when we expect Hassan Reddick to come back. Again, not a serious injury. Don't worry about it. Not a big deal at all. Now, of course, we got to keep updating you on the rookies because the 2 first-round draft picks out of Georgia continued to impress. Nolan Smith had a couple of sacks of Jalen Hurts in practice today, and Jalen Carter had his first double team, shed both blockers with ease. Now, again, still early. Take it all with a grain of salt, but the boys are working there coming out of Georgia. And Elliott Shore-Parks making a really interesting note on Nolan Smith, saying the jump Nolan Smith gets off the edge is insane. Insane. Philadelphia has some fast edge rushers. Josh Sweat is not a slow edge rusher. He's not slow coming off the defensive end, and yet we're talking about Nolan Smith being the fastest edge rusher on the Philadelphia Eagles. That 40 that he ran at the combine is starting to really show out, and people are very, very impressed. Love what I continue to hear day after day of the young Georgia players. I can't wait to see them in a preseason game. That's when it feels like Nolan Smith against a backup right tackle could be a real mismatch. We might actually get some pretty darn good coverage of that. Over here to Jalen Hurts this day, he was very, very good. His first pass of the day was about a 40-yard bomb down the right side of the football field to A.J. Brown. So, I mean, as you know, that connection is obviously performing still very, very well. He was 11 for 14, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and of course, the nice deep throw, 1 underthrown deep pass, mostly just smart short passes outside of that from Elliott Shore-Parks. So another solid day for Jalen Hurts, and you'll see they continue this trend during Nick Sirianni's coaching career of lighter practices in terms of 11-on-11s. Only 14 total passes for Jalen Hurts during an hour of practice. Some other teams will get that up into the 20s and 30s and try to give them a ton of reps. The Eagles try to take things slow, take things smooth, and so far Jalen Hurts, no interceptions in this first week of training camp. Not that it really does matter, but it is worth noting another solid day for the young quarterback. Over here to the very interesting news of the morning, and that is Derek Barnett's contract restructuring. Field Yates has that up on your screen now. Quote, Eagles defensive end Derek Barnett has agreed to a restructured contract as he was previously due $7.5 million, $1.5 million guaranteed, up to $1 million in per game bonuses, max value of $8.5. He's now due $3.5 million in guaranteed salary with $250K in per game bonuses, up to $225 million in incentives. Max value is $6 million. So a couple of changes here. He gets more guaranteed money, which is kind of how you free up space because the guaranteed money moves some things around. But he also gets a little bit less overall in max value, going from $8.5 million to $6 million. Now, a lot of people went to Twitter and said this was because they might not keep Derek Barnett. They might cut Derek Barnett, and I would disagree. This, to me, feels like Philadelphia is freeing up cap space. Derek Barnett is going to be on this roster unless he just has the worst camp in the history of defensive linemen. You don't just cut a first-round defensive end unless he's absolute garbage. I don't think Derek Barnett is absolute garbage. I think he had an injury last year. He's had some boneheaded plays, but he can be a very good rotational pass rusher, which Philadelphia has always wanted ever since the Super Bowl year, to have that guy to come in, play 20% of the snaps on the edge, getting in on some third downs and get to the quarterback. That's what Barnett can hopefully give you. Now, in terms of freeing up cap space, does this mean they're going to make a move tomorrow? No. Does it mean they're going to make a move at all? No, but they could. I mean, come on. They already had $13 million in cap space. This frees up a couple extra million in there. The question would be for who or for whom, whatever grammatical way you want to say it. Budda Baker got a brand new contract restructuring yesterday and seemingly is going to be in Arizona for the long term now. Unless this is a surprise player we haven't really heard a lot about, Patrick Queen is kind of the one name that floats out there if you were to need a linebacker at some point during training camp, which if you watch the show for any extended period of time, you would understand that I am fine with Patrick Queen, but let's wait and see how the current Eagle linebackers look before going out there and having to make another move, right? You don't have to go sign anybody until you know for sure that the linebacker position is not ready or the cornerback position is not ready or the, slot cornerback or the safety position or the wide receiver 5, whatever you want to say. You have to wait and see. And the fact we're only on our day 3 of actual practices without the pads being on yet means it's a little bit early, but Howie Roseman is Howie Roseman, and Howie Roseman likes to go ahead and make sure he has money and ammo available and ready to go. So for everyone who wants to cut Derek Barnett or get rid of Derek Barnett, I don't see that happening anytime soon. One final note again from Eagles training camp, sloppy again. It's sloppy early on, and Nick Sirianni's not having it. There's a very good video, which I'll throw up on our screen here in just a second, showcasing Nick Sirianni yelling at his team because it's just not good enough.
We can't be yelling at you to say line the elbow. It's gotta be perfect now. Because if it ain't fucking perfect now, it ain't gonna be perfect when shit's going in the game. Get it perfect. Here, grab it.
Now you like to see that. Now you don't necessarily, like to see the fact that they're being sloppy, but it is week 1 of training camp. Now, if this was the final week of training camp, if this was, the day before, the week before week 1 of the actual regular season, then this would be cause for concern. But you want to iron these things out now. That way you don't have to worry about it at all when you actually get to the regular season. In Philadelphia, penalties used to be an issue for them a couple of years ago, less so this past season. They were not as penalized as they had been during the first or second year, or really the first year, I should say, of Nick Sirianni. So you love to see that. You love to see that Nick Sirianni is getting on his guys, and I think Nick fully understands that he needs to make sure that this football team does not beat themselves up, especially early on, because we looked at the schedule and mentioned it before. The Eagles' schedule is tougher late. You have to get wins early. If you get enough wins early, you can slip up a little bit later on against the Chiefs or against the Bills or against the Cowboys for a second time, and it won't cost you the NFC East or it won't cost you the number 1 seed. So ironing things out now is the right way to go, and I love the fact that they're being a little sloppy right now because Sirianni can get on them and make sure that they, learn from their mistakes and hopefully do not make them at all ever again. Okay, plenty more stuff happening in the next couple of days and weeks. We always mention here every single day. I mean, literally every single day except for maybe like a Sunday. We're gonna have shows going on here on the Thomas Mott Show, and trying to be the one-stop shop, the best place. We cover everything. We're not trying to give you any sort of, crazy headlines just to get you to click on the show. We're trying to give you guys quality content that gets you up to date and on with the rest of your day. And if you like stuff even faster than a 10-minute YouTube video, follow me on Twitter at RealThomasMott, because I'll tweet stuff there. I'll post some shorts there as well, and I'll go ahead and retweet a bunch of stuff. And so if you just want constant Eagles stuff in your feed, or not constant, but at least, on a regular basis, follow me on Twitter at RealThomasMott. We are very, very, very close to hitting 4,000 followers on Twitter and 15,000 followers here on YouTube. So again, appreciate you guys. Stay tuned. Plenty more stuff happening. Birds continue to roll. They look good so far. I'm Thomas Mott. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.